Celtic are back in Scottish Cup action this weekend after the nonsense, let's call it nonsense, at Tynecastle last week. And a place in the semi-final at Hampden's up for grabs if we can take care of Livingston. This is Tino with the countdown to kick-off, joined here by Paddy. Paddy, your initial thoughts ahead of this one?
Yeah, looking forward to it. I think everyone's kind of just want to set the record straight for last week and just get a move on. As I said, I think we were a team after 2 games from Motherwell and Dundee that we were looking comfortable. And I would just hope that we can just knock on now for the rest of the season. And I think, just getting ready for Sunday. We should score goals, I think, on Sunday. I think we should be up for that, and hopefully just build a bit more confidence going into the remaining league games as well.
Yeah, do you know, in terms of the Tynecastle stuff, we need to really just put it behind us, don't we? There's no point in dwelling on it. It was what it was, and we've debated it in the weekly show and in various other places. There will be the ramifications in terms of what potentially happens to Brendan Rodgers. He'll now appear at Hampden last week in March, just ahead of the Rangers game on the 7th of April. Expect a ban of sorts, but we'll see how that goes. And obviously, Yang, a man who'd found a bit of form there, he misses out. But Celtic will just need to handle those situations as they come.
Well, you look at Yang and some of the performances he's had in and out the team and not been too convincing. And I think the same can be said for the likes of Louis Palmer lately and for Nicolas Kuhn as well. So he did come into the team, Yang, and he did kind of, show a bit of fight, show a bit of dig, and just wanted to really, really contribute to what's going to be a nervy run-in. So if you're those 2 players, you're fighting like mad this week at training to, get on that team sheet for Sunday, because albeit I don't think the suspension takes place on the Sunday, it's still the opportunity to go and say, listen, I want to take that jersey, I want to go for it. So I'd be interested to see who he goes with.
Yeah, it will be. One winger, Paddy, who definitely won't be available, as we know, is Liel Abada. Again, we've spoken about Liel Abada and the situation, the politics, the ins and outs of it. But ultimately, what you've got there is a really talented player that's no longer available to Celtic.
Yeah, and actually, I thought his statement all over social media was perfectly summed up. I think that the key bit being saying this was not in his plans. That was the major bit for me. I think he really enjoyed his time here, and I think that I do wish him all the best going forward. I think he'll run riot over there, to be honest. I think he'll do really well in the MLS. Wish him all the best. I think we take the profit that we made there and make sure that we're looking to replace in the summer, and we start getting that ready now.
Yeah, no doubt. There's a lot of folk who are desperate to go along with the line that Liel Abada was hounded out of Celtic. The fans chased him out and made him unwelcome, made his life untenable. Quite the opposite. I thought his statement, whether he said help or support with it by an agent or something like that, but it's just really mature, covers all the bases, and you said it during the weekly show, Paddy. We wish him all the best, and that's that. And we'll draw a line under Liel Abada's career at Celtic, but he'll be fondly remembered for what he done on the park, particularly in those big games. Caught the press conference earlier on, so Brendan Rodgers appeared in front of the media for the first time since the weekend. He was asked by one of the journalists if he regrets his comments. Absolutely not. He said it's his job as the front man, as a figurehead, to speak up for the club, take those battles when they come on board. And I was pleased to hear that. It'd have been easier just to do a kind of no comment, can't really say much about that, just need to see how the hearing goes. And I'm pleased that he's fighting the corner, because there is a fight to be had, given what we've seen last week. And what you've got in our comments on YouTube and on socials throughout the week is, Celtic always greeting, you can't just accept a defeat in the manner it comes in and all that kind of stuff. But there was so much at play. It was like, VAR's always been a bit shifty, Paddy. Ironically, since Celtic played their first VAR game in the Scottish League in Tynecastle back in October 22, was that?
Yeah.
And it just seems at the weekend it was cranked up dramatically. But Brendan Rodgers is right to fight the corner. But it's good to hear him come out. And as I say, we'll see where we get to in terms of the hearing towards the end of the month at Hampden. In terms of this one, we all know Brendan Rodgers' record in the Scottish Cup is perfect. And all the time he's managed in Scottish football, he's never lost a Scottish Cup tie. He's won every tie. He's picked up the trophy twice, and he'll certainly be aiming to get a third one. How motivated do you feel he'll be? There's obviously the big prize, Paddy, as we know this season is the league, but Scottish Cup's important. Celtic have got a pretty special relationship with it. Rodgers himself personally has as well. So how driven do you think he and the players will be for this one on Sunday?
I think Celtic should be looking to win every competition they're in. I'll always say that, Tino. I think that's the mentality that Brendan Rodgers set the first time around. And if you look at it that way, he's only lost one League Cup game in all his time as well. That he's been Celtic manager, so he'll want to win this trophy 100%. I think it's a real statement of intent if we go and win the Scottish Cup and the league. That this is just the beginning of what could be a long show from Brendan Rodgers in terms of he really wants to get this plan on track again. It's been a crazy year, absolutely. It's been full of ups and downs, and a team trying to get used to a new system, players leaving, very big players leaving. We've touched on the Abada situation, with its injuries, with its suspensions. He'll be looking to see, right, who do I need in, what quality do I need to get in this summer? And I think you hope that that's a statement of intent, that we're looking for a new head of recruitment now, that we do move on and get there. But let's give yourself a strong foundation. Let's go and look at the 2 trophies that are available.
Yeah, bigger picture stuff as well in terms of the head of recruitment. We touched on it in the weekly in terms of, yes, we do need somebody in that position, of course we do, but ahead of that, or certainly as part of that process, we actually need to review the strategy, don't we, in terms of how we sign, what we're doing. It's not the time for us just now in terms of what this episode is tonight, but we can't just keep doing the project thing and hoping for the best, hoping that 1 in every 4 turns out to be good. We need players for the here and now, and that's something Celtic haven't signed in the last couple of windows. Anyway, in terms of Sunday and looking ahead to that, so we know there's a couple of guys that remain unavailable. Callum McGregor, seems like they're kind of been pretty careful with that. He had a scan, I think, on Wednesday, and Brendan Rodgers was pretty non-committal on it. He's saying we just need to review it day to day, see how it goes. We said he'd be out till the international break, and that'll be the case. It doesn't sound too straightforward, whatever it is. It seems there's a bit of unknown about it. So we need to see how that plays out. That's a concern, but let's see. We know that Lagerbielke is gone. Louis Palmer, bad timing for him, Paddy. Maybe never heard the update. He's picked up an injury. Looks like he won't be available. But in that case, it's maybe time for others to step up, Nicolas, Kuhn and others. But we'll get to the wingers shortly. We'll start in the right order. Joe Hart will start in goals. Where are you at for a back 4?
Back 4, I would stay the same.
Hold up. I forgot. No Alessandro Bernabei either. He's gone. There's one less option for you at the back. Not that he was getting picked, by the way, but one less option.
I think we can swiftly move on. All the best to him. Just not to be for the wee guy. And I think, whoever brought him in, wow. Yeah, crazy waste of money. Crazy waste of money.
A 5-year deal, and 20 months later, he moves on. Barely having kicked a ball for Celtic. So, but he kind of epitomises what's going on just now. He is exactly the kind of signing that we're getting. Comes in, doesn't work out, moves on for pennies or on loan or whatever. So anyway, you're back 4 without Bernabei.
I would stay the same as Tynecastle. I think keep getting minutes into Cameron and Carter Vickers is essential. I've not heard any update in the Brodsky, but I think it's probably going to be Liam Scales' jersey for the run-in, and I think that what I want to see now is another game where I see Alistair Johnson kick on. I think we weren't expecting much from him at Tynecastle with no one up in front of him. He was up and down that line quite a lot, and I think, you can't expect a 7 or an 8 out of 10 performance for him when he's basically running the line for Celtic. So I'm looking forward to see how he links up with whoever comes into that right side position, because for me, it just looked like someone that was ready to kind of push for the run-in. And I go back to his comment after the 1-0 Ross County win, where it was, 1-0 and they're still booing us. I reckon someone would have probably had a word in his ear about that, just about how important it is. And then obviously the results that followed were the reason why we were getting so worked up in a transfer window as well. And he's someone that wants to go and put it right. I think he's a winner. Alistair Johnston, I really do, and I think he thrives under that pressure as well. So yeah, I think he'll stand up and be counted for this run-in, definitely.
I think so, and he's a guy that showed his worth last season. He hadn't quite replicated that form this time around, but he was certainly getting there. And that's a tough shift at Tynecastle without that support, as you rightfully say. So, yeah, let's hope that he's back something towards his best for the weekend and the running. The options are fairly limited, aren't they, in terms of the alternatives anywhere else? Greg Taylor's the only show in town in terms of natural left back. He's got to start there. And it's whether he continues with Cameron Carter-Vickers in terms of, as part of his recovery, do you give him another start? Or do you potentially, it's not that it's not important, but it's not as important as the league. Do you rest him in any way? Do you potentially go Nawrocki? I wouldn't, as my thinking, just as I'm talking that through. But do you think there's any chance the manager will?
I don't think so. I think that he's treating every game as important as the next one. I think with us not having games midweek as well, there's not really an excuse to take these players out the lineup. I think the Nawrocki project's for next season now. I think the guys just had such an unfortunate year in terms of injuries as well. Just little niggles that just don't seem to be going away. And I do think there's hope for him. I really do. I think just if he gets up to match speed, I think he could be a real driver for us, bringing the ball out for the back. So we need to get behind Liam Scales. I'm as I've said before, I don't think he's our level. But I take nothing away from what he's achieved this season. He's got himself up to a good match sharpness to play with Celtic. It slows us down at times, as I've mentioned, but I like anyone that pulls a jersey on, I'll support them.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the way it's going to be till the end of the season. We need to get fully behind things. I'm just thinking, as you're saying about Nawrocki might well be a project for next year. Lagerbielke even more out the picture. I'm actually just thinking about these individuals. You can add Odin Thiago Home to that mix. These are guys that have basically just had a season out of their career. That's criminal at a young age, isn't it? They're all fairly young players, and these are kind of pivotal years in terms of what their careers may go on to be. Obviously, we hope they're a success at Celtic, but whether it is or not, it's a long time out of football, isn't it, for guys who generally seem to be fit and available. Anyway, I'll not dwell on it for now. Thanks, as always, to everyone who's joined us in the live. Smell the Glove, Chow Pal, Snitch, Gypsy King, Kieran, a lot of kind of the regulars, Northampton, Tim, RL77, Anthony Aitken as well, a new name that I don't quite recognise. Thanks for all your comments. If you've got any kind of general thoughts on the team or beyond, let us know here and we'll try and incorporate them into the chat. Paddy, looking at the midfield, so again, there's calls for Brendan Rodgers to be making. I've gone on record a long time now as to my thoughts on Tomoki Iwata. I think he's a really talented guy. I think he can do a brilliant job for Celtic. I think he's really got something. But he struggled at Tynecastle, and obviously we were down to 10 men for the most part, but he was lackadaisical a couple of times, just not quite as sharp as you need him to be, and certainly not quite as sharp as Callum McGregor knows to be at Tynecastle. Do you think he'll learn from the experience, and do you think he'll get put back in?
I don't think he loses the jersey, no. I think he's someone like he plays well if Callum McGregor's there. I've said that. I said it before. I think Iwata there is a talent there. There is a player that can really take the game with the scruff of the neck if he wants. He can come on. He can calm things down for us, like many games that we've seen before. There's something telling Brendan Rodgers that he's not a starter though, and I think that, albeit yes, he's had a couple of injuries here or there, there's been times where he's sometimes not even made the bench when he was fit. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's a belief thing, a confidence thing. But he looked quite scared on Sunday, and that was a bit of a worry for me. And it took me back to that game I was speaking about not too long ago at Rugby Park against Kilmarnock, and I kind of felt that he didn't like the pressure. He doesn't like being under pressure. Doesn't like being a goal behind, under the cosh. The fans are on top of him. I think he needs to realise that this is what it's all about. That underdog mentality that Celtic will come up against. If they get a sniff at blood, they're going to go for it, and we need to rise above it and show our class. So he will learn from it. But I wonder if he's probably got some time with Callum McGregor to even just talk about it as well, because if we don't see McGregor on the park for the next few weeks, Iwata's going to be key. going to be key for us. So he needs to get it sorted quickly.
Yeah, and whether Callum McGregor's fit or not, he's the club captain, and I would fully expect he'll be around. You see him in the stands at Tynecastle, and I'm sure he's not far away from what's going on, despite the fact that he's not fit and able to play. A big part of the reason why Iwata plays, and someone's mentioned it rightfully so, is that him playing in the six is what frees up Callum McGregor to move forward, and that's a big part of the thinking for doing it. Obviously, Callum McGregor's not an option, and I wonder if that just changes Brendan Rodgers' thinking in general. I think he'll start. I think he will start in the six, and I think he'll go with O'Reilly up ahead of him, and probably Bernardo. Although you've got a young lad, Daniel Kelly, making a play. He's now had a couple of games for Celtic. He's come on at Tynecastle when the chips were down, so the manager trusts him. You know, he's not just saying, I'll throw you on at Dundee when we're 6-0 up. He's brought him on in a really high-pressure environment there. He clearly sees something in him. We've all seen glimpses of him, and as much as I don't think he'll start, he's put himself in the frame, hasn't he?
He has, and I think, like, again, maybe I'm wrong this way. I think with a lot of young players coming in, I'm all for young players getting an opportunity 100%. I think it's a bit different when it's at a team like Celtic, because it's win first, development second. I think it's always been that way. Some players crumble with it. I look at some of the youth players that have came through here and just disappeared because the shirt's too heavy for them. And you need to find that right way of bedding players in. Some players are just naturally gifted, and I look at Kieran Tierney, for example. He knew what it was about. He was up to the pace. Every summer he was coming back even stronger as well. He was bulking up. And that's one thing I think Daniel Kelly does have that a lot of the younger players don't have. He's physical. He seems as if he's ready to match up against anyone. And yes, if you're getting brought in to matchday squads, albeit if it's rules or not in the league, if you're getting brought into matchday squads and you're getting used in the business end of the season, you're not there to make up the numbers. You're there because the manager trusts what you can do. So is he worth a start at the moment? I wouldn't say yes, not at this point, but he's definitely going to be an impact player for us. Yeah,
I think he's got something to bring to the party. He should definitely be in the squad for Sunday, no doubt about that. So I think we're in agreement though, Paddy, Iwata, O'Reilly and Bernardo.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. Someone in the comments, I think it's Chowpal in the comments, Kelly over Bernardo for him. We've got Kieran as well, who's not quite a fan of Iwata, and I suppose that's what it's all about. You know, everyone's got different opinions of these players. We've not seen a whole lot of Iwata, have we? You know, he's in for a few games, then he's out, picks up injuries. Kelly's obviously brand new to most of us, so we'll need to see. And I suppose this is where, to a huge extent, you need to trust the manager's judgment. You might be a Brendan Rodgers fan, you might not, but ultimately he's got full eyes on these guys. He sees them every day at Lennoxtown, and we need to trust him to make these right calls. Up top, we're back in a situation where Adam Ida plays well for a couple of games, so he's in, but then he misses his penalty. Is he back out? Is Kyogo in? O's nowhere to be seen, Paddy, is he? He's not even getting those minutes just now. But before we get to the wingers, who's your number 9 this week?
Number 9, I wouldn't be surprised if he actually goes for Kyogo, just to get some minutes in the legs as well, for a start. The big man, been really, really impressed by him. I actually still thought he put himself about on Sunday as well, and didn't seem to let the penalty faze him. I think for me, again, we're just having one of those seasons. It must be in the back of every player's minds when they got to take a penalty. Shit, we've missed a few, you know. And I just think that I still back our players. It's a horrible thing to do, and I think that we should be scoring them, but I think he'll get over it, and we want him to go over it quickly. But I think we've also got such a brilliant player in Kyogo. We've finally seen Alistair Johnson get to the byline, as I've said many, many times, and that's perfect positions for Kyogo to mop up on as well. So I would quite like to see the B-man come back in on Sunday.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against that at all. We've not covered the wingers just yet, Paddy, but if we do get a penalty on Sunday, who's hitting it this week?
Joe Hart.
Just weather it, and we'll hope for the best. There's someone made a comment. You want to go?
His penalty pre-season a few years ago for Man City is a screamer. I think it was against Barca. Maybe, I can't remember, but a great penalty. So Joe Hart for me. But
the penalties are a different pressure, aren't they?
Aye.
Someone Someone commented, I can't remember who, so apologies, but someone was saying they prefer a ball player, a midfielder, a technician as such to hit the penalties, and that's all well and good. But Callum McGregor's missed penalties from there, Rio Hatate's missed penalties from there, and I'd put them right in that bracket. I wouldn't mind seeing Matt O'Reilly, strike a penalty. The guy's got a cultured left foot, but it's an ongoing problem, and I don't know the answer because we thought we'd found the solution with Ida. We actually thought before that with Palma had stuck a couple of really good ones away, but the start reads that Celtic have scored 5 and missed 5 out of the last 10 penalties that we've got this season. So it's an ongoing thing. I don't know. And you can't recreate that pressure when you're up at Lennoxtown. It's just not how football works. So I don't know the answer to my own question, but we'll skip on. The wide guys, Paddy, I suppose it's Maeda +1, isn't it?
Aye. I'd have to say so. I don't know. For me, I think he might go Palmer.
I think he's injured, Paddy.
Oh, sorry, you mentioned. Apologies. Not listening to you tonight.
You just don't listen to me at all.
What was that? No, I think for me it would be Nicolas Kuhn then. I think you hope that he shows up and you hope that he just gives everything he possibly can. And as I said, Yang seems to have taken an opportunity over the last couple of weeks. And yeah, a bit clumsy from him last week. I still think it was a yellow card personally, but still don't need to put your foot up that high. Don't need to do that, no matter if your eyes are on the ball or not. So I would give Nicolas Kuhn a go for the right guy.
I think it will be Dries Maeda and Nicolas Kuhn. It's a decent opportunity to bring Nicolas Kuhn in at this moment without the pressure that the league brings. It's still a pressure environment, but it's certainly less so because we're in this. Every single goal and every single point, is crucial in terms of the league stuff. He's clearly felt the pressure to an extent because he came in with such a good reputation. We heard his first press conference. He spoke fairly confidently. He grabbed that deflected goal against Aberdeen as well, didn't he? But he's just not kicked on. He looks nervous. He looks anxious to me. But I think it's a decent environment to bring him back into. Do you think the manager will see it that way, Paddy?
Yeah, I think it's Rodgers is clever in these kind of situations. I think that they do see a player in this guy. We've not seen it as fans. Absolutely, I would say that he's done anything of note for me that's like made me think, oh God, we've got a player here. But I think about players coming into A, country they don't know, B, a team they don't know, a system they don't know, and then getting told, right, go for it. I think it is just managing that. It's getting them up to speed. He said now another 3 or 4 weeks of training with the guys. It's whether he can withhold the pressure of what it's all about now, getting into this running. As I say, it's getting very, very tense now. It's becoming even more important. But what you would want is if he goes in as a great performance on Sunday, to be able to call on 2 wingers to come in and out your side that have got a bit of confidence about them is so pivotal for Celtic, 100%. So yeah, see what happens. I could go very, very left field here and say, does he bring in James Forrest out for the cold? But I don't think you want to hear that on a Friday night.
I don't, and that's no disrespect to James Forrest. I just think his game time is going to be very limited at Celtic moving forward. I think the manager's just decided that's not a thing, and the fact that he was available for transfer or at least loan in January kind of told you that story. Let me just shoehorn in some Mikey Johnston chat. I've not had any of that for a while, and I need my fix, Paddy. The boys scoring wonder goals down south. Everyone's seen them. He's scoring some brilliant goals. They're almost replica goals. He scored about 3 goals exactly the same, cutting in, megging a guy, smashing it into the top corner. But it's different doing it for West Brom than it is for Celtic. That's the bottom line. And this is the transition that Mikey Johnston would have to make if he's going to make it at Celtic. He's undoubtedly got the talent. You see it in front of your very eyes with those examples, those goals. But it's a mindset of doing that and the hotbed environment that we've got up here, the pressure that's on us up here, and you're allowed to lose games at West Brom. Even the game the other night, they end up drawing the game, and it doesn't matter. That's just the world of the Championship. Here it does matter. So whether he has a future, I don't know, but he's definitely got the talent. Just wanted to remind folk of that, really, Paddy.
You've just said it though. The pressure's off. The pressure is totally off. And again, I go back to the weight of the jersey, and he's not a kid anymore, Mikey Johnston. He still acts like one with some of his comments and liking certain things online about what he's been up against up here. He's had 7 seasons to make an impact, and how many managers has he had? And he's not done it. So only Mikey Johnston can answer why he's not part of this starting lineup, in my opinion. But good luck to him down in West Brom. I really mean that. I think he is a talent. I always go back to that story of him. Apparently, he got a standing ovation coming off against Bayern Munich in the Youth Champions League. I thought he would go. We're on to another young player coming through here. But it's a mentality issue with the guy. And I just think it's too heavy for him.
Yeah, and they're fair comments, Paddy, and I think they echo what a lot of fans will be thinking. So we'll revisit the Mikey chat further down the line. We will. I won't let it go, but we'll get back to it later in the season, summer, whatever it might be. The one other thing, you mentioned the curveball in the shape of James Forrest. A few folk have commented. I think there's a couple of comments here, but certainly across some other recordings about young Rocco Vata. He was a boy who came back in after the January break, kind of the short break there. He came in and he played against Buckie Thistle. Was that the last round? Have we played that round since then?
No.
Yeah.
He's not.
So he's come on against Buckie Thistle. He's grabbed his goal there, done pretty well. And he's not actually featured much since. I believe there's a contract offer on the table, and for whatever reason that remains unsigned, and he's keeping his options open. So who knows what the future holds? But is he a curveball? He was getting minutes, wasn't he? He was getting game time, and all of a sudden, no. But now you've got a situation where Liel Abada's gone, Yang suspended, Kuhn, underwhelming at this moment, Forrest, blah, blah, blah. Is there maybe an opportunity for Rocco Vata?
I don't think so. I'd love there to be. But again, another player that I just think has said, I see my future away for this club. Celtic have tried to entice him to stay. The contract offer is there. His dad's even come out and said, I've told him he should stay at Celtic. But by all accounts, he wants to look elsewhere. So I don't care if that's the point, and don't put the jersey on. Yeah,
might be the case. So we'll see if he features. He's been in and out through Brendan Rodgers, so we'll see if there's an opportunity on Sunday. Let's have a look at Livingston just briefly, Paddy. Not one to dwell on. They're having a hell of a time. They're rock bottom at the moment. They're 6 points adrift at the bottom of the league. I think they're as good as down. They're really, really struggling to pick up any notable points. The cup, it could go one of two ways. It offers them a bit of just a break from that. They're obviously under pressure. They won't be enjoying their week to week too much at this moment in time in terms of the league stuff. The cup does give you a different perspective, a different opportunity, and ultimately the winner of this one goes to Hampden. So as professional footballers, there's probably a little more incentive you need than to turn on a performance.
Yeah, I think so. How many seasons have you watched football where the team that gets relegated has ended up making it to a FA Cup final, a Scottish Cup final? I think they'll want some sort of pride this season. It's finally caught up with them, the fact that they've lost any good player that they've had. Those that have come in have now actually been there for quite a while as well, and it's just stagnated for them. Personally, I wouldn't mind seeing the back of them, to be honest. They don't really bring much to the league, in my opinion. And if I don't have to hear Martindale's voice again, I'd be over the moon.
I'm all over that, and I think everyone would be. Apart from anything else, they play turgid football on a terrible pitch. Why would you want to encourage that? And I don't have any great issues with Livingston as a club or their fan base. Sure, there's some lovely folks that go and support Livy, but in terms of what they're bringing to the league, nothing at all, really. They play for draws, they dig deep, and I know you can argue that, but look at the budget they've got no other alternative. That's fine, but that's a Livy problem. That shouldn't have to be an issue for the rest of the league. It just seems that it's going to sound harsh, but their job is to drag everybody down to their level and hope to steal a win or eke out a draw on that terrible pitch. That can't be good. Just generally, when you put all that together, that's not healthy for the league. So if they go, I'm all for it, Paddy. So no need to apologise for that. In terms of how they do approach it, as I say, there is a suggestion they might come and play with a bit more freedom. You mentioned teams winning cups and then getting relegated. Sean Maloney's Wigan is a good example of that. They won the FA Cup and I think they're relegated the same week from the Premier League. So there's an example of how that can happen. But do you think those players from Livy will go out and play with a freedom that's never really afforded to them? You never really see Livy take off the handbrake. And they'll have guys that are talented enough players. It's not like, I know they're pretty robust at the back and they've got some physical guys. They've also got some talented footballers, but these guys aren't really allowed to play because first and foremost, It's about digging deep. It's about defending and kind of feeding off the scraps. What do you think we'll see in terms of a general approach?
I think it'll be pretty much the same, to be honest, because like taking nothing away from them, like we should be better. We should have enough quality to go and win the game. Big noticeable miss for them is the guy at right back, Nicky Devlin. It's at Aberdeen now. I actually think he was a real big player for them. Kept us quiet, didn't left quite a lot. But I don't know what it's been. I think for me, I don't see them coming to try and play football. I see them coming to try and sit in and hope to get us in the counter attack, like they do every time they play us. To be honest, lump it long and hopefully they can get in behind us or try and match up against our two centre halves. It's kind of been the way that they've always operated. So I don't see that changing. I really don't. I remember, what was it? The game, was it this season or maybe last season? They were actually up against us, like playing pretty well, and then he made 2 crazy substitutions, and it just killed their game plan altogether, and we ran away with it. So they can stifle us at points, but I just think Celtic Park, we should have enough quicker surface than what they're used to. We should have enough about us to go and get the win.
Yeah, so just on that, so in terms of your overall feelings of the game, you sound pretty confident. You're hopeful there'll be goals in the game. So in the matches so far, Celtic beat them 2-0 at Celtic Park and 3-0 at Livingston earlier on in the season. Do you think we're going to see goals? And obviously, Celtic have been so stop-start this season. We've had a run, then we've kind of broken it. But it was Livingston, so we get beat by Kilmarnock and Hearts that we'll all remember. Sorry to remind folks, but we get beat 2 weeks in a row. And then it was the Livingston game after that kick-started the next dozen or so games unbeaten. And sometimes you just need that kind of one game to get you back on track. Celtic have hit a bump in the road last week. There's no getting away from it. There's circumstances that have led to that. But as we know, they were playing pretty well. Second half, Motherwell, the Dundee game was frightening. Yeah. And then we've had that bump in the road against Hearts at Tynecastle. What do you think? I'm feeling quite confident that we'll come out and make a statement. But what do you see in terms of scoreline?
Yeah, I'm thinking 4-5. I'd say 5-0 on Sunday. I think that we should be too good for them in terms of what we still have. And I know that there's a bit of concern down the right. I totally get that. But this is the kind of games that you want players with a little bit of lacking a little bit of belief to come in and then find their feet a little bit. And as I say, just kick on. It'd be great having a headache on our wings instead of like actually really, really worried who we're going to pick. It'd be great that we have the problem of who we drop, So this is a big game for Nicolas Kuhn if he is going to be the one that starts to really stake a claim and show why we went and signed him and put him on a 5.5-year deal.
Yeah, no doubt. Paddy, we've had plenty of headaches this season, but not the good ones, to be honest with you. So let's see if we can have a more relaxing Sunday afternoon. That was the thing about the Dundee game, wasn't it? You go on 6-0 up at half time. Now, I'm not expecting a replica of that. But it was one of the few times, someone mentioned it to me, that you can actually relax at half time this season. Every game, more or less, apart from that, you've got in maybe a goal up, maybe nothing each, maybe even a goal down. You've not been able to enjoy half time. Not that half time's a great time in your life, Paddy. There's not a whole lot to do, but it's not been very relaxing. I think there's going to be plenty of goals. I really do. The thing for Livingston or any team at the bottom of the table is if you lose an early goal, the heads go. You've obviously, across whatever they've had, 28, 29 games of their league campaign, they're just a team that's, at the moment, used to losing games of football. And when you're in that headspace and you lose an early-ish goal, the head kind of just goes. It's kind of, here we go again. If Celtic can get 1 or 2 early-ish, within the first half hour, I believe it could be anything. I really do, and that's the way it'll go. So, I don't know. It's unfair to make 2 predictions because I think it'll hinge on that early goal. I'm going to go 6, Paddy. I think it's going to be a real opportunity for Celtic we need to put Tynecastle to bed, and obviously it's clowns like me that keep bringing it up because we need to talk about things and suspensions and Yang and Brendan Rodgers and stuff. But from a playing point of view, the players can't dwell on it. They can't be, thinking about woulda, coulda, shoulda kind of moments. Adam Ida can't be doing that. Adam Ida, if he's on the park, by the way, I think will hit the next penalty, and rightfully so. Mm-hmm. He's a kind of headstrong kind of boy. But that aside, the players just need to say, okay, we've had another bump in the road at Tynecastle. we need to go and take care of business and kick on into the next round. So that's where I'm at, Paddy. But any final thoughts yourself? Obviously, another one to look forward to. Brendan Rodgers has got that exemplary record in the Scottish Cup. So your final thoughts ahead of Sunday's quarter-final?
Yeah, I just think obviously the fact that the Yang hearing got chucked out, our manager's getting called up for a hearing at the end of the month. As I said, we want to win every competition we're in. I just expect us to go full throttle on Sunday and make a bit of a statement. I really do. We have been so inconsistent this year. No doubt about that at all. But we still have enough quality in our team, especially for Sunday. We want to see McGregor back. We want to see Yang get back as well, obviously after suspension. We want to see Rio Hatate coming back. I've seen a couple of comments there. I think no matter where you are with Hatate, I think he gives us 100% for this run-in. And I just think, let's start this now. Let's kick on and hopefully it's the beginning of something special. So we'll see.
Yeah. Here's hoping, Paddy. I've got Chowpal in the comments here laughing at my 6-0 prediction. He'll not be laughing come Sunday, Paddy, when I'm right.
He's living up his name with his prediction 2-0. I love that, Chow.
Well, but we'll cover that. We'll do the final whistle show on Sunday shortly after the game. Also, a thanks to a number of folk who have mentioned the Battle to Save Celtic series that we're running just now. So for those who don't know, Monday of this week, Monday the 4th of March, was 30 years to the day since Fergus McCann took over Celtic in dramatic circumstances. We've had a couple of interviews with some of the key players involved. We had Matt McGlone from Celts for Change, with David Lowe, Fergus's right-hand man, financial guy. So they're two really interesting episodes, really enjoyable to do. And some really good information there. So thanks to the guys that have watched it and who have commented. And there's more to come. There's another one that should land across the weekend and a really good one for next week. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, thanks to all who have joined us in the live. Thanks to those who have listened to the podcast. Thanks to you, Paddy, for joining me on your Friday night. We'll see you again on Sunday for the final whistle show. Hopefully, as Celtic take their place in the semi-finals.